Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're exploring a topic that reveals something important about modern Japan: how feminism is understood, misunderstood, and sometimes strongly rejected. This isn't about blaming one side or defending another. It's about understanding where these reactions come from and what they tell us about Japanese society today. To begin, let's start with a simple truth. Feminism in its original meaning is not complicated. It simply says, no one should lose opportunities, safety, or dignity because of gender. But in Japan, the image of feminism is often very different. Many people associate it with anger, confrontation, or accusations. Some imagine feminism as something political, aggressive, or hostile. Why does this gap exist? To answer that, we need to understand how Japan's expectations around gender were formed. For many decades, especially during Japan's post-war economic boom, there was a widely accepted life blueprint. Men work outside, women take care of the home. This idea was everywhere, in schools, media, companies, and government policies. And for a long time, it seemed to work. A man who worked hard could support his family. A woman who married gained stability and social approval. People came to believe if you follow the gender rules, life will work out. But starting in the 1990s, this model began to collapse. The economy changed. Salaries stopped rising, lifetime employment weakened, and raising children became more expensive. More women pursued higher education and careers. Meanwhile, expectations didn't change. Men were still expected to provide. Women were still expected to marry and raise children, ideally before 30. But reality no longer aligned with the old script. And when a social model breaks, confusion and frustration appear. Some women began saying, I want independence. Marriage is a choice, not a duty. I want equality, both at work and at home. Some men, meanwhile, began thinking, I did everything society expected. Why am I criticized? My job is unstable. My income doesn't match the expectations placed on me. No one cares about the pressure I carry. Both groups were struggling, but in different directions. And then came the internet, a place where conflict spreads faster than understanding. Online, moderation disappears and extreme voices rise to the top. Some feminists express anger. Some men respond with hostility. Algorithms reward outrage. Very quickly, people begin believing the other side is the enemy. But in most cases, what's really happening isn't hatred. It's exhaustion, fear, and a feeling of being unheard. Another factor shaping Japan's reaction to feminism is the rise of radical and commercialized activism. Some radical voices frame gender as a battlefield, generalizing all men as oppressors or enemies. This naturally generates resistance in a culture that values harmony. And then there are what some call business feminists. People who use controversy and conflict to gain attention, influence, or income. Outrage becomes their brand. As these louder, more extreme voices dominate the conversation, many people in Japan start assuming feminism equals hostility. And the original meaning, fairness, fades from view. So why do some Japanese men react strongly against feminism? It isn't because they reject equality. In many cases, it's because feminism is arriving at a moment when they themselves feel vulnerable. Many men in Japan carry heavy expectations. Provide financially, work long hours, don't show weakness, don't ask for help. But society rarely acknowledges their pain. So when they hear statements like, men are the problem, it doesn't feel like a social critique. It feels like a personal attack layered onto an already heavy burden. Economic insecurity also affects dating and relationships. When a man feels he cannot provide, he may feel he cannot belong. This sense of inadequacy can easily turn into defensiveness or anger. But here is the interesting part. If feminism means removing harmful expectations tied to gender, then it has the potential to help men too. A version of feminism suited for Japan could say, men don't have to destroy themselves for work. Men can express vulnerability. Men don't need to equal their worth with income. Men can share childcare and still be respected. Men deserve emotional support, not just responsibility. If feminism is understood this way, it becomes a tool not for division, but for mutual freedom. Japan today isn't facing a gender war. It's facing an identity transition. Women are redefining their roles. Men are searching for theirs. The old script no longer fits, but the new one isn't fully written yet. In this uncertain space, frustration grows. But frustration doesn't have to turn into conflict. It can become dialogue. Women are not the enemy. Men are not the enemy. The real issue is the pressure and expectations that restrict everyone. If Japan can shift from blame to understanding, from rigid roles to flexible choices, from expectation to empathy, then feminism, at its core meaning, can support all people, not divide them. Thank you for listening. If this topic interests you, share your thoughts, not to argue, but to understand. And if you'd like more deep dive content about modern Japan, culture, and social change, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. See you in the next video.